Today, it's movie recap time for How to Be Really Bad, a German fantasy movie released in 2018. The movie begins by introducing Lilith, the devil's daughter, who provides a glimpse into hell. In this scenario, hell is actually a modern city with lots of employees working under the devil's command. Their main job is to influence and persuade humans to do evil things, making it a thriving business. However, the devil is enraged because evilness in a city called Birkenbrunn has decreased by 1.5% in the current year. Soon after, Satan enters a room and finds Lilith engaging in bullying practices online while her teacher is bound. The girl wishes to be a field representative for spreading evil, but since she's still under 18, her father forbids her from going out there. This limitation frustrates her a lot. One particular night, Lilith goes to her father with the same old request, persistently seeking his approval. Annoyed by her nagging, the devil proposes an offer. He allows her to spend a week on Earth to corrupt someone and make them evil. If she succeeds, her dad will permanently grant her a stay on Earth, while failure would result in eternal confinement in hell. Though Lilith finds her father's approach harsh, she accepts the challenge, recognizing his true nature as the devil. The next day, they head to Earth to begin the mission. The devil informs his daughter that her target is Greta Bernstein, a gentle and introverted girl living with caring parents and 2 younger sisters. The whole family is very close and appears to be the nicest people on Earth. Greta's genuine kindness makes the task especially challenging for Lilith. Before leaving, the devil advises her to avoid all kinds of physical contact with humans. He also gives her a black ball, called Lochner, that changes color if she becomes sentimental during the mission. Lilith's father arranged for her to spend a week with the Bernstein family. If anyone asks, she's supposed to say she's from a state called Saarland. After breakfast, they all clean up the table together, and Lilith laughs at their kindness. To test Greta's reaction, she drops the plates on purpose and blames Greta, expecting her to defend herself. However, the girl surprises Lilith by apologizing and taking the blame without getting angry, showing her kind and forgiving nature. This makes Lilith realize it won't be so easy to corrupt the girl. Later that night, Lilith asks Greta about her friends and life in general. She soon notices that Greta is seen as a nerd at school and doesn't have many friends. While she goes to the bathroom, Lilith looks through Greta's things and finds hidden pictures of a guy in her wardrobe. This makes Lilith come up with a clever plan to use the guy and influence Greta negatively. The next day, Greta says she usually bikes to school, but Lilith insists they both take the school bus to go to class. The principal's son, Eddie, is the typical bully who constantly picks on Greta. He sticks chewing gum in her hair and decides to insult Lilith next. However, the devil's daughter instantly stands up for herself and burns his hair. Lilith expected Greta to feel good after seeing her bully like that, but instead, the girl says she was scared for Lilith. As Greta's kindness starts to irritate Lilith, they are interrupted by Samuel, a school kid who is on the school roof, messing with the school's principal. When the man threatens to call the firefighters, Samuel quickly comes down, showing his parkour skills. Greta mentions that he often does strange things like that. On math test day, Lilith uses a tablet containing answers to cheat and encourages Greta to do the same. The girl seems tempted but quickly refuses. About an hour later, Greta realizes Lilith copied the wrong answers into her test, so she chooses Lilith's test to save her. Luckily, the principal lets her go without any punishment. During the break, popular girls Melody and Daria make mean comments about Greta's clothes. When Lilith asks why she doesn't talk back, she appears to remain unaffected, probably having grown used to their bullying. Lilith finally sees Greta's crush, Carlos, a womanizer who only pays attention to popular girls. Greta blushes and says he doesn't know she exists. Lilith sees her genuine interest and comes up with a plan. She sends Greta to get some candy for her and goes to talk to Carlos. Lilith pays the guy to pretend to like Greta for 3 days, only to break up with her right after. She hopes that will upset Greta and bring a dark side to her. After talking to Carlos, Lilith sees Samuel, the guy who was on the roof. He smiles at her and walks away. Curious, Lilith follows Samuel to an alley nearby, and the two share a cigarette. In the meantime, Carlos invites Greta to see the music rehearsals the following day. Eddie and his gang confront Lilith and Samuel, accusing Samuel of stealing Eddie's Rolex. To protect himself, Samuel quickly climbs a wall, and the bullies back off. When Eddie demands they harm Lilith, she easily fights back. She beats up both students, eventually making them flee. Impressed by Lilith's bravery, Samuel mentions that it's possible to see the ocean from the church roof. The devil's daughter does not like the idea of entering a church but follows him anyway. As they reach the top and enjoy the view, Samuel unexpectedly kisses Lilith. She gets surprised and quickly sprints back home. Lilith feels confused, experiencing new emotions and feelings for the first time. When Greta asks if she's in love with Samuel, Lilith laughs, as she believes devils simply cannot experience love. However, her perception begins to change when she sees her locker showing some colors inside. A call from her father soon confirms that devils can actually fall in love, but they are considered useless and lose their job. Worried, she ends the call and decides to pay more attention to her mission. As the entire family chills and talks after dinner, Greta's mom reminds her that they are supposed to spend the next day doing some knitting. However, the girl forgot about it and set a date with Carlos on the same day. Lilith wastes no time and mentions the date to the whole family. Greta's parents get surprised and awkwardly praise her for growing up, making Greta uncomfortable. The next morning, Lilith gives Greta a makeover to impress Carlos, but her mother disapproves of her provocative clothes. After Lilith's arguments that they are old enough to wear what they want, Greta's mom threatens to call her dad. Lilith gets scared, and both girls end up going to school wearing knitted clothes. Melody and Daria see the duo and instantly mock them. Since they can't change their clothes, Lilith comes up with another plan, this time to make them popular. She starts a rumor that Greta's mom's knitted clothes are the latest trend in New York. She takes pictures of Greta wearing the knitted clothes and posts them online. Lilith even creates a website featuring fake supermodels wearing the knitted dress, impressing the bullies. Their attitude changes right away, and they ask Lilith how they can get one of those dresses. Greta feels thrilled to finally fit in with the popular girls. Meanwhile, Samuel asks Lilith out, but she denies it and claims to have other plans. However, when he suggests they go to the beach together, she can't resist and accepts it. It turns out it's her dream to see the ocean up close. At the beach, Lilith feels overjoyed, and they have a great time together. The devil's daughter experiences genuine happiness for the first time in her life. Back in school, Greta attends Carlos's band practice and watches Melody and Daria perform. The duo is preparing for an upcoming event hosted by the school, and Carlos is a DJ. Greta notices an opportunity for improvement and suggests that one of them sing a third lower. Impressed, Carlos notices she knows her music and invites her to sing with the band. Although the girls aren't thrilled about it, they perform much better as a team. Carlos gets very excited about the new possibilities, but their practice is interrupted by a teacher who cancels their performance. He claims that the principal turned them down after seeing a provocative music video posted by Melody and Daria online. On the beach, Lilith and Samuel talk and enjoy each other's company. Lilith receives texts from her father but chooses to focus on the moment. The two eventually kiss and make plans to hit the movies later. Shortly after, they stop to get some ice cream. When Lilith grabs her phone, she notices lots of texts from her dad and briefly replies, saying everything is okay. As she sees other couples around her, she starts to question her own actions. By the time Samuel returns with ice cream, she snaps and runs away without explanation. On their way home from school, Carlos asks Greta if she would like to join the band for good. Since Melody and Daria seem to dislike her, the girl is hesitant. Carlos compliments her singing and expresses his desire to have her in the band. Just as they get closer to each other and are about to kiss, Greta's father sees her and interrupts them to offer the girl a ride. Greta becomes embarrassed and gets into the vehicle. She rushes to her room and cries. Lilith shows her good side and tries to console Greta. For the first time, Lilith feels empathy for her friend. When she looks at the locker, she sees that it has changed colors, showing her growing sentimentality. Curious, Greta asks about the ball's purpose. Lilith lies, saying it's a thermometer. Later, while Greta does some gardening, Lilith shares that her father will take her away in 2 days because of a failed mission. She can't help herself and also reveals that she is meant to be evil, but says nothing about who she really is. Greta doesn't get why her father wants his own daughter to be mean, but being a good friend, Greta assures her that she can complete the task in the given time. The next day at school, Melody and Daria finally get their knitted dresses. The girl expresses genuine joy after seeing them wearing the clothes. Soon after, Carlos talks to Greta and seems to show actual interest in her. As he leans in for a kiss, Lilith steps in and interrupts them. She takes Carlos aside and tells him the deal is off. Lilith clearly doesn't want Greta to get hurt anymore. However, Carlos admits that he has developed real feelings for Greta. He promptly tells Greta about the deal with Lilith and apologizes. Upon learning the truth, Greta feels terribly hurt. Lilith apologizes, explaining that she was supposed to spread evil, but Greta walks away, speechless. Shortly after, Samuel invites Lilith to the beach over the phone. It turns out he had planned to drop out of school and move to Berlin, but meeting her changed his mind. Lilith panics when she realizes that Samuel has fallen in love with her. Not knowing how to act, she tells him that meeting him was the worst thing that happened to her and walks away. Despite being in love with him, Lilith fears that giving in will make her father see her as weak. Following that, Lilith gets on the school bus and talks to Greta. She shows more of her human side as she confides about what just happened. Seeing the devil's daughter crying, Greta forgives and comforts her friend. Lilith reveals the truth about the black ball, admitting she has failed her mission. They share their first hug, and Greta decides to do whatever it takes to prevent Lilith's father from taking her away. The day of the school event finally arrives. As it's also Lilith's 7th day on Earth, the devil himself comes to check if his daughter has completed the mission. It turns out Greta, Carlos, Melody, and Daria planned a prank against the principal for not letting them perform. As the man gives a presentation on his recent trip to Africa, Carlos shows embarrassing pictures of the principal. When he sees the photos, he quickly leaves the stage. Eddie's string quartet then begins playing. However, none of them can play properly after Melody and Daria put itching powder on their clothes. As planned, Carlos's band comes to the rescue. Greta, along with Melody and Daria, perform a provocative song, making the audience go crazy. Greta thanks Lilith for her help in front of the whole school. Soon after, the devil steps outside with his daughter and praises Lilith for the successful pranks, thinking she manipulated Greta. Before officially considering her mission successful, he asks to see her Lochner. Lilith becomes fearful but is surprised to see that the black ball has returned to its original color. So, the devil allows Lilith to stay in town. Shortly after, Greta runs into Lilith and reveals that she had painted the ball black with nail polish to fool her father. After becoming an official field representative, Lilith hurries to meet Samuel, stopping him from going to Berlin. She confesses her love for him, and they share a kiss. The movie ends as she sets his ticket to Berlin on fire. Thanks for watching. If you like our content, please like the video and don't forget to subscribe.